Tonight on To The Point.
Governor, a question about immigration.
A sanctuary controversy. Tonight, how the governor's office is responding to comments suggesting that he wants to eliminate immigration policies. Texas Democrats asking California for help.
We shared ideas and experiences on how the big ugly bill is impacting both of our states.
Why they want to stop Texas Republicans' redistricting plan. Fighting for fluoride. Health experts weigh in on the proposed ban to the water additive. And on the back roads, a scenic trip through Monterey County, the old-fashioned way.
Looks like, hey, now we're going downhill.
Yeah, but much easier.
There we go.
All right, good evening as always. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and we start tonight with a weather impact alert. I want to bring in meteorologist Brendan Minchef because I know you're tracking some thunderstorms that were in the Sierra.
Yeah, that's right. Still a few lingering storms, but we did have a severe storm that rolled through North Tahoe earlier this afternoon. Here's what the Brockway Summit at Highway 267 camera looked like at around 5 o'clock after that storm came through. That's not snow on the ground. That's hail. This severe storm was warned for half-dollar-sized hail, and there's the result of some of that hail on the ground. So as we take a look at radar and satellite right now, again, not as active as it was even an hour ago, especially not 2 hours ago. Still some storms here just to the west of 395 south of Kirkwood. Again, these are mainly stationary storms, but it's just not as strong as what it was, again, coming up on Highway 89 there. And then this was the severe warned storm up here just to the north of Tahoe. It started to push off to the northwest now and is fizzling out nowhere near what it was an hour and a half to 2 hours ago. We'll take a look at Futurecast coming up in just a few minutes, Alex.
Brendan, thank you. Now to a controversial issue. Should California law enforcement be banned from using resources for immigration enforcement? Well, California lawmakers made it a law in 2017, and tonight Governor Newsom is under fire for recent comments he's made about it and how those comments have been portrayed. I want to go ahead and bring in ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen. She's joining us live in studio with what was said and also how the governor is responding tonight. Jeannie.
Alex, the governor held a press conference this afternoon about redistricting in Texas. After multiple attempts to try to get him to clarify in person, his press office is responding to us tonight.
I inherited, just as I inherited sanctuary policy at the state, that the legislature wants to continue to change. As mayor, I inherited sanctuary policy when I got sworn in, and it was too permissive. And I closed a loophole as it relates to coordinating with ICE upon arrest. I'm happy to advocate for eliminating sanctuary policy.
It's these remarks on a recent podcast that have some Republican leaders in California calling on Governor Gavin Newsom to end sanctuary policy.
We're ready to do that, Gavin. We will introduce some language tomorrow. We'll get it inserted into a bill.
The Assembly Republicans' social media video went on to say that the state's sanctuary policies impact Border Patrol's job. On Friday, Governor Newsom and a group of Democratic leaders from Texas held a press conference to discuss redistricting. ABC 10 tried to ask him to clarify his remarks on immigration multiple times with no success.
Governor, a question about immigration.
A spokesperson for the governor pointed out that his whole response on the podcast was not used, clarifying that California would not need these types of laws if Congress did their job to push comprehensive immigration reform, adding that the state law helps ensure that all Californians are not scared of reporting crimes to the police. Political analysts say the governor's recent comments on sanctuary policies may start to confuse his Democratic colleagues.
I think a lot of Democrats in the state of California are going to be confused because the governor really turned heavily on the Trump administration after the feds brought in the National Guard and the Marines in Los Angeles. And the governor's been almost like on the campaign trail.
Adding that the governor may have another motive for his comments.
Almost everything that Governor Newsom does these days is viewed through the lens of politics, because it certainly seems like he is interested much more than ever before in running for president in 2028.
And for the past few weeks, we have been asking the governor for a one-on-one interview to have a conversation about immigration. The governor's office continues to deny our requests. Alex.
All right, Janie, thank you for that. And Governor Newsom is teaming up with Texas Democrats in their opposition to redistricting plans in Texas. And this comes as President Trump is asking Texas lawmakers to redraw U.S. House maps to get 5 new GOP stronghold seats to help ensure Congress maintains Republican control after the 2026 midterm elections.
I imagine many folks are asking here in California, what do the politics of Texas have to do with the politics here in California? The answer is everything. Everything now is made clear and vivid. we have an administration that wants to roll back most of the progress of the last half century.
Governor Newsom says what California does is entirely dependent on what happens in Texas, where legislative sources say they are charging ahead with plans to redraw the maps. President Trump is expected to sign an executive order to make it easier for towns and cities to remove homeless people from the streets. And the order promises to crack down on unsheltered homelessness by allowing cities and states to remove unhoused people from the streets and put them into treatment centers. Now, it's a move seen as an expansion of a recent Supreme Court decision, but with some key differences.
Here, the Grants past Supreme Court decision said that you can clear encampments even if you have nowhere for folks to go. This is going a step further and saying you can put people into institutions against their will.
The president's order is getting both strong support and sharp criticism. Some say this is a way to get people off the streets faster, but there are concerns that local jurisdictions don't have the resources to place every unhoused person into those treatment centers. The Department of Education announced today it is releasing billions of dollars in grants to schools for adult literacy, English language instruction, and other programs. The Trump administration had withheld $6 billion in funding on July 1st, but later said the department would release some of the money for after-school programs after 10 Republican senators sent a letter urging the Trump administration to allow frozen education money to be sent to states. Well, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has pledged to make America healthy again, and that includes a campaign against fluoride. 2 states, Utah and Florida, have now banned adding fluoride in public drinking water, and now the FDA is gearing up to ban prescription fluoride supplements. Leah Wallman explains what the experts are saying about the removal of fluoride.
Often referred to as the champagne of drinking water, New York City's water is carefully monitored by the Department of Environmental Protection.
Our job is to make sure that we are adding the precise amount of fluoride within a very narrow band. Too little and it doesn't do its job. Too much and it could be harmful.
The city's acting commissioner of health says the addition of fluoride is important for the health of New Yorkers and opposes its removal.
I'd be concerned about kids who live in families where getting into preventative care is very challenging. And there are tremendous barriers to care, unfortunately, in New York City.
The CDC's recommended fluoride concentration is 0.7 milligrams per liter of water, about equal to 3 drops of water in a 55-gallon barrel. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is advising to remove it altogether. HHS and the EPA are reviewing a report from the National Toxicology Program linking high levels of fluoride, more than double the recommended amount, to lower IQ in children. But there was insufficient data to determine the impact of lower levels. Dr. Vicky Evangelita Sakelson with Columbia University's Dental College agrees with many in her field that fluoride in water is safe and effective. She thinks politicians should leave science to the experts.
It is a complex problem, and they should give money and funding to do the studies. So when we talk based on data, and we don't talk based on feelings.
Now, the CDC has a list of county water agencies and whether they add fluoride to their water systems. Most water under the Sacramento County Water Agency is fluorinated, except for a small industrial area out in Northgate. San Joaquin County does not add fluoride to its public water supply, with the exception of the Farmington Water Company. And in Placer County, only the city of Roseville and a couple of other small water agencies add fluoride to the water. All right, a Central Valley Transit Service wants to expand, why city managers are saying not so fast. And a new place to shop for outdoor gear is officially open out in Elk Grove. A look at opening day excitement.
And it was another active weather day with thunderstorms in the high country. Activity starting to wind down, though, and a very nice weekend is ahead. Forecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, Safeway workers could be on strike as soon as tomorrow. Workers' unions and Safeway Albertsons have until midnight tonight to reach a deal. The unions are calling for better pay and benefits. Safeway has posted job openings online for temporary workers should a strike happen. President Trump today was asked about the possibility of granting clemency to Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell.
It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
She was questioned for a second day by the Department of Justice. Maxwell's attorney says this is not a situation where they are asking for anything in exchange for testimony. He says that she's answered every question to the best of her ability. Extreme weather is hitting many parts of the country. In Kansas City, the fire department had at least 10 emergency water rescues as commuters faced flooded streets. And in New Mexico, another round of flash flooding. A home was washed away during monsoon rains and catastrophic mudslides triggered by a burn scar left from a wildfire last year. Welcome back in. I want to get things over to meteorologist Brennan Minchef, who is tracking a weather impact alert for the Sierra tonight.
Yep, and that's because we've had a couple of severe thunderstorms in the high country, mostly up near Plumas County. But we did have one roll through Lake Tahoe earlier, and over the last 3 hours, you see this thunderstorm as it passed through the north side of the lake over Truckee and then finally started to fall apart as it lifted to the northwest. But as it was severe, it didn't really move very much over the course of about 30 to 45 minutes. So it dumped some rain and up to half-dollar-sized hail across parts of Highway 267. Now, active radar is mainly up in the northern part of the state, near Redding, near Lakehead, up near Shasta. That's where the majority of the storms are at this point, as everything near Tahoe is starting to wind down. Doesn't mean we're completely done tonight, but for the most part, I'm not expecting a lot more in terms of thunderstorm generation over the next few hours. And we'll see that here on Futurecast. Most of the activity going to be across the northern valley, across Shasta, up near Siskiyou County to Wairika and the Oregon state line, and not much left popping up near Tahoe. Maybe an overnight shower, a weak thunderstorm closer to midnight. That's going to be about it in terms of what I'm expecting going forward today. Tomorrow, if you're headed to the high country, keep in mind we could see some more isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Not like what we saw yesterday, not like what we've seen today. It's going to be more scattered, even more isolated than that, and it's going to be slightly further to the east as well. So along 395 and to the east instead of from 395 to the west. So just keep that in mind. In terms of Tahoe, that could be on the north and east side of the lake as opposed to the south and west side in terms of where those thunderstorms are going to pop up. So still tracking some thunderstorms for tomorrow, but in terms of temperatures, it's been a very nice day. 83 is what we made it to in Sacramento today, 88 in Stockton, 87 in Modesto, already in the 70s in the Sacramento area because we've got a very nice delta breeze between 15 and 30 miles per hour across the valley and delta. Starting tomorrow morning off in the mid to upper 50s, very similar to the last few mornings, and we're going to continue to be much below normal on Saturday afternoon with highs in the low to middle 80s. We are going to warm up though, Sunday mid to upper 80s, then Monday and Tuesday very seasonal, very normal for the month of July as we climb into the low to mid 90s, and we're going to stay upper 80s and low 90s as we head into August, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, there's no need to live near a beach to catch some waves. A look at a new entertainment center planned for Placer County. And it's Friday, so you already know we're hitting the back roads to take a unique tour along the coast of Monterey. San Joaquin County leaders are coming together tonight to fight a plan by the county's largest transit provider to expand routes. ABC 10 obtained a letter that was signed this week by city managers in each of the county's 8 cities. The city managers say that RTD has not justified the need for expanded services and that their input was not sought. RTD calls the changes service enhancements, and they are set to go into effect on Sunday. City managers who signed the letter say there is also more at play, and it comes down to funding.
They're expanding services. They're telling us they don't have enough money to replace buses. They're making requests of tens of millions of dollars from the Measure K funds, from the SB 125 funds, from federal dollars. They take the majority of the federal dollars. We just want our fair share of the opportunity to go after the money to do more effective transportation.
San Joaquin RTD did send us a statement today saying that the changes are based on the needs of passengers and that the transit district is a responsible steward of taxpayer money. RTD says it is reviewing the letter and will treat it as a Public Records Act request, which requires a response to those city managers within 10 days. Well, we're getting a look at a new proposed surf resort out in Placer County. Yeah, you heard that right. Those behind the project submitting new details to the county and are hoping to break ground by next year. So the empty field could soon be the site of Placer County's newest entertainment venue. New details have been released surrounding the proposed Alchemy Surf Resort as part of the larger Placer One community. Inland Surf Company recently submitted a new application to the county outlining the project. Among the key features, a surf surf center, hotels, some bungalows, and recreational facilities. The project is still in its very early stages and needs to be approved by the county, but we'll be following it. And the latest REI store is now open in Elk Grove. The store had their grand opening just today, and the celebration will last all weekend. The outdoor gear retailer is at the Laguna Gateway Shopping Center on West Stockton Boulevard. Today, the first shoppers got to enjoy some music, giveaway, and of course, vendors. The store's owners tell us that REI is a perfect fit for the growing city.
Lots of new businesses, over 100 public parks. You have the community recreation centers. Like, everybody here seems to be really psyched about getting outside. And I think that's a perfect match for REI.
And as part of their commitment to community wellness, REI will donate $10,000 to Runnin' for Rhett, a local nonprofit promoting youth fitness and movement. All right after the break, Bartell's Back Roads taking us a ride on the rails of Monterey County. Well, you never know what you'll see on the back roads, and this week John Bartell takes us to the Monterey County coast to ride the railroad handcars.
When early railroad maintenance workers needed to make repairs on train tracks, they hitched a ride on handcars. And when modern-day tourists want to experience the breathtaking views of the Monterey County coast, they also hitch a ride on handcars.
All right, looks like, hey, now we're going downhill.
Yeah, but much easier.
There we go.
Situated along the Four-Door Dunes in Marina, California, is the Handcar Tours, a unique tourist attraction created by co-owner Mason Clark.
But this is a lot like what the men used to travel along when they would build and maintain the railroads in the 18 and early 1900s. So definitely a real historic type vehicle.
Although similar to the handcars of the 1800s, these modern-day handcars are equipped with electric assist motors that help you up the inclines of the sand dunes.
So we're actually climbing a sand dune right here. When this track was built, they built it up and over every sand dune. They didn't do a lot of excavating or grading because it's really old. So we're actually climbing one of the four-door dunes.
The 6-mile handcar tour takes you along the historic Monterey branch line, which was built in 1874 by David Jacks, who was not only a real estate mogul and railroad baron, but also was credited with popularizing a famous cheese.
It was built by a man named David Jacks, the founder of the Monterey Jack Cheese Company.
The Monterey branch line brought great prosperity to Monterey County and David Jacks.
This railway is what allowed Monterey to develop into the flourishing economy we see today. Before the railway, there was nothing here.
Passenger and freight trains ceased operations in the 1990s. The track lay dormant until Mason and his dad Todd opened up the handcar tours in 2021.
I had a passion for handcars. When I was 13, I got into handcars. Not these, but like the ones you talked about in the TV shows. I used to build replicas, and I sold those all over the world.
Not only did Mason build replica handcars, he also built the handcars used on the tour today.
So I'm a mechanical engineer. When I was in college, I started developing the very car we're on. It was about a 3-year process.
A big part of Mason's business was actually to teach people about the history of handcars.
Between 1879 and about 1900, they were very common. And then 1910 is when the combustion engine started taking over.
Mason and his dad actually started one of the only museums dedicated to handcars.
So this is called a velocipede. It's a 3-wheel handcar. And how this one works is you would have 2 people, one on this side and one on this side.
There are many ways to experience Monterey County's coast.
As we get up to the top, the summit, we're going to have some pine forest we're going to go through, Monterey pines, and then we're going to see a sweeping view of the bay out there.
But from the Monterey branch line, both beauty and history collide.
Riding the handcars on the Monterey branch. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
That looks like too much fun. Now, if you want to find more Bartell's Back Roads destinations on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app, they are all under the Shows tab. Just scroll down to Travel, Bartell's Back Roads, and download that free app straight to your TV. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com. And don't forget, if you do want to catch up on any of our shows or stories that you might have missed, again, you can download our free app to your TV so you can watch anywhere, anytime. Have a great night. I'll see you back here on Monday.